It's time for the Onyx News. Extraterrestrials, time anomalies, dimensions, remote viewing, UFOs, UAPs, and USOs, ghostly encounters, abductions, Bigfoot, and more. Your end of the week news source for everything unexplained. Here is your host for the Onyx News Podcast, Margie K.
Hello and welcome everyone to Onyx News. I'm your host, Margie K, and this evening I have a really good show for you. Just want to remind you, though, to mark your calendar for the upcoming Onyx Network XCon 2024 Into the Rabbit Hole, October 11th to the 13th in Springfield, Missouri. Our keynote speakers are Peter Robbins and Scott Nelson. So check that out. Get your super early bird tickets by May 1st this year. My guest this evening is Captain Ron Janix. He's been immersed in the UFO paranormal community for many years. Through working with various conferences, reading and researching, and doing hundreds of interviews, he's built up an extensive knowledge of the subject. Ron began podcasting with Elevate the Conversation show back in 2014, and then moved on to the Truth Be Told show along with Tony Sweet. In 2021, he founded the Observation Deck, an online source for information on speakers, as well as a place to host virtual events in and around the UFO community. In 2023, along with Gordon Pekrul, Ron bought the Contact in the Desert conference. Ron will be starting up a new podcast before the 2024 conference called Beyond Contact. Welcome to the program, Captain Ron.
Hi, Margie. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Hope you're doing good.
We're working away, getting ready for the show.
Yeah, I'll bet you are. That is coming up, and I know that's a big deal. Let's go back a little ways though, and since we've got a little bit of time, how did you get interested in the paranormal and UFOs?
I've had an interest going back probably to college, and in college, I think Art Bell is what I kind of first started hearing about these things and getting interested in it. Maybe even a little bit before that, I did read the two books that are the mandatory reading, which is Chariots of the Gods and Whitley Strieber's Communion, which most of the speakers usually cite those as what got them interested.
Oh, me
I'm
too.
no different. You know, there you go. You too.
Mm-hmm.
See, those are the books that really were very influential for a lot of us and really kind of got us hooked. And it brought me in. I became very interested in this topic. I'm not one of the people that have had these experiences like a lot of them have, but it fascinated me, got me very interested, and I just sort of had a cursory interest through the years. And then about 10 years ago, I got lucky to get on a podcast and then did another one. And then, you know, as you interview more people, you get more curious and you want to know more. And the more you know, the more there is to know. And then just sort of builds. And then I started kind of helping out and hosting at various conferences, and now we're here.
Well, that's unusual because most people I talk to have had a close encounter or they've seen a ghost walk through their house, something like that. Yep. So that's interesting that you're interested in the subject matter.
Yeah, so deeply for not having any real experiences myself. That's true.
Well, you'll probably be like Stanton Friedman, and someday it'll just happen. I know he went for years and years without seeing anything, and he finally saw a UFO.
Yeah, he was great. I like Stan a lot.
Yeah, he was great. So you got you had your first podcast, Elevate the Conversation show. How was that? How did that go? What did you talk about on it?
Well, that was not a UFO show. That's just what got me started in podcasting.
Oh, okay.
And then the guy that owned the station for that was my friend, Tony Sweet, and he had the show Truth Be Told. And he brought me in to co-host with him, and we did that together for years. And we'd go to the conferences together and interview these guys together and, you know, kind of get to know people in the community and kind of get to know the speakers and just that just makes me read more books and listen to more lectures, and it just pulls me in. It really does. And I just feel
Mhm.
like I really want to know more. The more I study this and the more I learn about this, I feel like there is uh, a lot here that is worthy of scientific study, that is worthy of another look. And I get frustrated when much of the world just dismisses it out of hand.
Yeah.
So I feel very kind of compelled to kind of bring people into the fold, if you will.
What are your thoughts on how the Pentagon first came out and said, yes, there are things in the sky we can't explain. There are UFOs, are UAPs, and then they turn around and say, "Oh no, there's nothing to see here." What do you think about that?
Right. Here's the same statement we made in 1947. Nothing to see here. There are no craft. There are no ETs. And I think it's ridiculous that they're giving the exact same verbiage that they used 50, 60, 70 years ago.
Hmm.
And reality is, we've got more and more military pilots and more whistleblowers and more things coming out. I think it's absurd that they did that. I think I don't think there's any impetus to give them that they're going to disclose anything anyway. But to make such a broad statement like that, to me, I just found it silly. Like, I laughed it off. Like, you got to be kidding me. You know,
It is laughable. Even people who have never seen anything, just thinking about it logically, how many billions of and billions and trillions of stars are in our galaxy alone, just the odds are not in favor of there not being anything there.
well, most people
Uh,
accept that. It's whether or not they've been here. That's the
yeah,
that's the line.
yeah. That is the hard thing, as then we have a group of people called experiencers who have had close encounters and, close encounters with craft, close encounters with ETs like I have. And throughout most of my life, and to me, it's just a normal everyday thing, but to most people who have never had an experience like that, it's very difficult for them to understand that.
And there's so many of them. How can they just dismiss them out of hand? That's what bothers me. It's not like one guy said this or three people. We've got millions of people that have made such claims. How can we just ignore
Oh,
that?
yeah. Yeah, just for example, take, Whitley Strieber's Communion. That brought so many people out of the closet. So many people just started talking about it and saying, "Oh, I saw that. That is what I saw." And I remember seeing the book, looking at the cover. I was in an airport at the time, just looking for something to read, and I just felt like I was in a movie set, like, how where they pull back with the camera and you're just
Yeah.
kind of going through a tunnel. That's
Yeah.
exactly what I felt like.
Wow.
And I know that other experiencers have felt the same way. So all those people, probably millions of people,
And
cannot
he talks
be.
about how when he wrote that book, how immediately he got flooded with letters from other people with similar experiences.
Yes, yes, he did. That was my main point was that he got so much. He still is getting mail from
It's
people,
amazing. And
and
that makes it a compelling case. And I just
yeah,
can't dismiss that out of hand.
it sure does. Um, okay, so in 2021, you founded the Observation Deck. This is something that we've done a little bit with on the UNX Network website with showing speakers. I think that's a fantastic idea. How many people do you have on that site now that
Well,
are potential speakers?
well, now what we've done is we've shut down the observation deck.
Oh,
Yeah. The idea of the observation deck was sort of, believe it or not, was to kind of recreate contact in the desert during COVID.
ah,
Uh, you know, there was no contact in the desert in 2020 due to COVID.
right.
And then in 2021, we Lori Moriarty and I did this observation deck, and it was a virtual platform like Meta has now when you have an avatar. And people would come in there, like all these speakers, Richard Dolan, Danny Sheehan, they all would come in and they'd make their avatar look like them. And we would have like little events, little one-day events. We did a big all-day thing with Travis Walton, for example, and he came in there and everybody comes into the observation deck with an avatar. And then it was like this virtual world where you walked around and you walked right into a venue and you sat down in a seat just like you would if you were at Contact. You sit in the theater and then the speaker would go up on the stage, walk up to the podium and talk, and a picture just like you see you and I here would be behind them on a giant screen. So it's kind of like a Zoom call in that you saw the speaker, but down in front of him was like a little avatar. So it was kind of a virtual reality way to do this sort of thing and keep this momentum going in the community. And we had a lot of information on there about all the speakers. We had a lot of information about the events the speakers did. And then it was sort of a meeting place for speakers to do things. We even showed documentary films in there and avatars. People would come in with their avatar and watch the movie. And then what happened was that company that we were using got really expensive. When my contract ended, I mean, it went up to, I can't even remember now, $8,000 or $12,000 a month, and it was just like immediately prohibitive. And I was like, okay, I cannot keep this going, so we shut it down. And then luckily, Contact in the Desert came around, and I was able to get on the live real version. But it was really something charming and fun about the observation deck of doing it in a virtual way, meeting people that way. We have people that we hired that are part of our team at Contact that we just met in an avatar on the observation deck. And once in a while, speakers will come in. Oh yeah, I was on the observation deck, blah, 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 which is really kind of a fun thing. I wish we all kind of miss it a little bit.
That sounds very, very clever. We resorted to doing Zoom webinars, and having the online conferences that way for a couple of years. But that sounds very clever.
It was a lot of fun. It was
very
a lot of fun.
interesting.
If it was inexpensive, we'd still be doing it.
Yeah. Well, everything has gone crazy.
Everything's so hard.
Even Zoom webinars are outrageous now with their pricing. I guess they figured since they're in such big demand, they'll go ahead and overcharge everyone.
They can, like everything. Yeah. But isn't it great that live, like last year we did Contact, first time back since 2019. And it was just so fun being back live with a big audience like that. That was like the first big thing we had done like that. And it was really great to have everyone in person. And you recall how great it used to be to do live events like that, you know?
Oh, people much prefer to be live if they possibly can. They want the camaraderie. They want to visit with people. And that, that's half of it, really.
That is half of it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
We do for the first time ever, we are going to offer a live stream of the main room with all the panels and everything for people who can't make it or it's too far or aren't able to travel or whatever. But the magic, like you said, half the fun is being there with all of our people in our community, all these speakers you get to act with. That is the true fun of an event like Contact.
Well, let's get into Contact. What is it all about? What is this conference about?
Well, this is the 10-year anniversary of the live event. It'll be the 10th time we've done this in Indian Wells, which is right outside of Palm Springs. And, it's a pilgrimage for all people in this community. It focuses on UFOs and that world, but it's everything adjacent to it. All the different paranormal topics that the beginning of your show intro lists, all these, crypto, everything. We try to cover a little bit of everything. But we have over 70 different speakers speaking. There you go. Look how many speakers are on there. I think there's, believe it or not, I think we've added a couple more. We have over 70 speakers talking this year. So there's so many opportunities to see these guys, different speakers at different times. They all give a free lecture. Many of them, in fact, all of them sit on a panel at one point, and many of them do workshops, which if you're a super fan of somebody, you can go and get a smaller version of them. And on Monday, we have intensives where you can have over 2.5 hours with, I think there's 12 different speakers that we have on Monday. So it's a real opportunity to interact directly with speakers, interact directly with other people inside this community. We rent the entire resort. Margie, this whole thing is us for 5 days. So it's not like there's other people there. Everybody that's at this event, everybody you see in line getting food or getting a beverage or whatever is part of this community. They're there for Contact because we rent the entire place. So that makes it a very unique experience. And also the opportunity to interact as much as you can with these speakers. They'll come to the parties. We have a meet and greet party Friday night, and then you see them walking down the hall, and there's different things going on. They're getting their picture taken. They're doing different interviews. There's just like this litany of things. We have 8 stages going at the same time.
Oh my goodness.
So you got to pick what you want to do. And then the big main stage has, we'll put 6 speakers on a stage and do a panel. And we have those running pretty much the entire time. There's 14 different major panels that happen over the weekend. And
so there's no lack of anything to do.
There is not. I mean, we literally have documentary films, every brand new, never seen before documentary films each and every night, Thursday and Monday included, every single day. All 5 nights have a documentary. And then we have live podcasts, like Dave Foley is doing multiple live podcasts from our event. Last Podcast on the Left guys are going to do a live podcast. Kelly Chase is doing a live podcast. We're going to play Hollywood movies outside. We're going to play E.T. Saturday night. And we have Dee Wallace, who's the mom in that film there. She's going to introduce it and talk about it.
Oh, awesome.
So there's Friday, Saturday, Sunday has Hollywood movies. Every night has a brand new documentary. There's just so many things going on. We're going to take buses out into the desert with Mark D'Antonio, the astronomer, and he's going to talk about the universe and the sky that we can see from there.
Mm-hmm.
There's just so many things happening that it's like a carnival.
What are some of the subjects that are going to be covered?
Well, we have panels. For example, we have Women of Ufology. We have the Legends panel, which is going to be the people that you and I already spoke about today. It's going to feature Travis Walton, Whitley Strieber, Richard Dolan, these people that were heavily influencers to bring people into this community. Mm-hmm. The other thing we're focusing on is AI. AI has become a really hot topic right now. And they're going to do a live. We have Matthew James Bailey and Adam Curry doing a special event Friday night where they're going to do a live Turing test. Remember the Turing test, like from, I always forget the name of this film, Blade Runner. Do you see Blade Runner?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Remember they couldn't tell if it was a real person or not because.
Exactly.
So they're going to do that live. They're going to play. We're going to bring up some of our celebrity speakers, and they're going to have them answer questions and or read what artificial intelligence answers and see if the audience can actually tell the difference between a human being and artificial intelligence at this point. So that's going to be kind of a fun, unique thing that we don't think's really been done anywhere yet.
That will be interesting because, I'm a person who's concerned about AI. First of all, taking jobs away from writers, for one thing, and probably artists as well, because you see all this beautiful AI artwork at Adobe Stock and other places, and it's irresistible because it's just incredible.
Yep.
And I think about the jobs being lost. I also think about people being able to fake things like a false flag event.
Very scary. Very scary. Also, have you seen the new thing that's new to me anyway? I saw how they have text to video now. You can talk into AI and it'll create videos. A guy was on YouTube and he created a chocolate chip cookie commercial just by talking. And then it spit out this commercial of cookies coming out of the oven and a kid eating a cookie and the whole thing. That's pretty scary stuff. I mean,
that is. I think that's too advanced for humans to manage.
It's incredible. And it's going so fast. So we have a lot of different AI experts that are going to be there talking about different aspects of this, where it is, where it's headed. We're having a luncheon that's called the Futurist Luncheon that's going to talk about the future of these type things and these technologies and AI. So our event's very academic, scientific, technology. There's a lot of that sort of thing happening as well.
I think, all of those subjects are things that people are interested in, and it could certainly apply to paranormal and ufology because, like I said a minute ago, they could fake anything.
They could fake anything, but also, don't you think? I think it's I come at this whole thing with a very logical approach, and I feel like it is very likely that another civilization, if they sent something here, it's more likely it would be an artificially intelligently controlled craft or probe or whatever first, instead of sending a biologic across giant, the vastness of space, if you will, because artificial intelligence doesn't sleep, doesn't get sick, doesn't die. All of these things that a biologic would have problem, because they talk about these craft. This is one of the aspects of it, how some of these crafts travel super fast, high rates of speed. Then they take a 90-degree turn, and they say how that would, someone's brain would come out the side of their head. Well, yeah, but what if there isn't a being on there? What if it is just like a probe? That's what we're doing. We're going to be sending probes out there with artificial intelligence on them to explore and then send back data and then maybe send people. So I think that's a really important angle and a part of this community. So we're going to do that angle, but we also have like the experiencer group, and J. Christopher King has experiencer groups every single day, and they meet and they go over their firsthand accounts, like you said you had.
Excellent. It sounds like it's going to be a very, very busy time. What are the dates of the conference?
It starts on May 30th, Thursday, and it goes through Monday, June 3rd.
Okay. Sounds like it's going to be jam-packed. I imagine it's all hours, day and night, right?
Oh, it does. It goes pretty much around the clock. Yeah. It's, our lectures start at 8:30 in the morning and they go till 8 o'clock at night, but there's stuff happening all the time somewhere.
Why don't we dig a little further into some individual speakers and their topics, if you wouldn't mind?
No, absolutely. Well, Matthew James Bailey is the one I recently mentioned, who he wrote the books. Are you familiar with him by chance, Margie?
I know who he is.
Yeah, he wrote the book on the ethics of AI.
Mm-hmm.
And he's really sort of at the forefront of what's happening with artificial intelligence. So he will be delving into those areas. We have Andrew Collins and William Henry. These guys are on Ancient Aliens. They'll be talking about that. Nick Pope will be there talking about that. Another important aspect we're going to be covering and having panels on and discussions on is the Danny Sheehan and Steve Bassett about disclosure and government disclosure and what's happening in government right now. We had the David Grosh come out, and supposedly there's these other whistleblowers that are in the wings, hopefully maybe ready to come out and talk more. And they're going to talk about what's happened in Congress and how they've actually had closed door meetings with these guys, and that things are actually happening behind the scenes, and we are moving in the right direction. It's slow, but we are moving in the right direction as far as disclosure is concerned. So it's
basically, once again, behind the scenes, things that the general public doesn't know about,
right.
But things are still moving.
They are. That's what these guys say, and they would know. I mean, I think Danny Sheehan's the most important person in our community, or at least right up there. And Steve Bassett's been doing amazing work and staying on top of this like nobody in the community has.
For years.
Yeah, and he says to me that he's seen more articles and more attention on this topic now, like 23, 24, than ever. Mm-hmm. And, he posts those to the Paradigm Research Group, and there's a lot of stuff happening. And the fact, isn't it amazing that Schumer put out a bill called the UAP disclosure bill? I mean, that's insane that we have that, right? If I said that to you 5 years ago, you'd have said that's not going to happen, right?
Well, our congressmen and women are being inundated by people who want disclosure, and they're fed up as well. So yeah, I can believe it.
Who doesn't want disclosure? Even non-believers want disclosure, right? Wouldn't they say, well, let's,
let's hear the truth.
The lion's share of Americans, of people everywhere, I would think, want disclosure from whatever we could get from the government. And how about this? This is one of, in this climate, this is one of small handful of topics where it's truly bipartisan. There is no
right
sides taken here.
There's no left or right to this.
No, nothing, which is great.
Exactly.
And we were talking the other day how it's fun that there are a couple of times like where Schumer and these guys buddy up on these kind of bills. So it is very exciting. It's moving way too slow for me personally, but truth be told, when you take a step back, we are moving forward and we are seeing steps being taken. The fact that Congress is routinely talking about this stuff and taking it serious and having these meetings is very exciting.
It sure is. We live in some exciting times.
Yep.
All right, we are up on a break and we'll be back right after these few messages.
The Onyx Network presents a health and wellness spiritually based brand of hemp-derived CBD products made by Hopewell Farm in Harrogate, Tennessee. We apply our Cathara energy work with all of our plants and products. Our products made in small batches with only 2 ingredients of pure hemp, full-spectrum crude oil, and coconut-derived MCT oil. Third-party lab tested for potency and legal THC levels with 6 strengths of 1 ounce oil to choose from. Know what you're buying and get what you pay for from Hopewell Farm. Applied directly to a specific area, Hopewell Farm topical salve in 1 ounce and ½ ounce sizes made with pure hemp crude oil, comfrey extract, and all natural ingredients. Find the Hopewell Farm link and coupon code on the Onyx Network website at onyxnetwork.com. That's onyxnetwork.com.
Hey, UFO conference enthusiasts. We've got another great event for you in 2024. The Saucers and Aliens Kansas UFO Day in Dimension G is being held in the UFO capital of Kansas, Geneseo, on July 6th. This is a fun festival in the middle of nowhere. There will be a parade, decorated yards, costumes, vendors, speakers, and a showing of the movie The Day the Earth Stood Still. Appropriately, an 8-foot-tall statue of Gort and a statue of Plateau will be dedicated. This will be the only museum in the U.S. with these custom-made statues. If you'd like to donate to the statue project or attend the event, visit GeneseoMuseum.com. That's GENESEO Museum.com. Be sure to bring your camera when you attend the event. That's GeneseoMuseum.com. This is Margie K, and I'd like to say thank you to all of our KUNX show hosts, staff, listeners, and viewers for making us number 1 on Paranormal Talk Radio. Welcome back to Onyx News. I'm your host, Margie K, here on the KUNX Digital Broadcasting Network, and we are talking with Captain Ron this evening. Captain, I'm looking at your website right now, and I see you've got a few very special events, and the giant rock really caught my eye because I just uh, recently created a presentation that included that. Can you tell us what is going to be going on there and a little bit of the history?
Yeah, absolutely. Giant Rock, of course, is famously known for what's it? George Van Tassel, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, George Van Tassel. That was sort of the first contact in the desert, if you will. He had people come out there,
Yeah.
and that's where he supposedly had contact with extraterrestrial beings. And we have a thing on Thursday and on Monday where Eric Rankin will take people out. They all follow each other in cars, and they go out to the desert. You go out to the giant rock. He tells you the whole history of it, explains the whole thing, and then they actually go to the Integratron. True, excuse me. They go to the Integratron, which is really cool. Have you been there?
Oh, I have not, but it's on my list.
That is an awesome place, and he will. We've got on Monday. We've got exclusive access. They're not even open Monday. They're opening the doors to the Integratron just for us to let us go and bring our group. We stop by there on Thursday as well, and you get a sense of it. And he gives you the history of it and how it was designed and the acoustics of it. Like you could stand in one little corner and like whisper in the wall. And because of the way it's designed, the sound travels to the other side. There's all these cool acoustic properties. People do sound baths in there and this sort of thing. It's really kind of two very, very unique, cool, special places that just happen to be nearby, to Palm Springs. So we made him part of our event, and it's been very successful. And Michelle Anderson goes with Eric Rankin, and they explain everything to people. And I've heard nothing but good things about that every year.
Oh gosh, that sounds awesome. I would go just for that.
Seriously.
Okay, and you've got some big names. Of course, George Norrie, George Knapp.
That's they're going to do a special thing, Margie. Let me just jump in there real quick. Those two are doing a special thing on Saturday. George and George, coast to coast, George and George. They've never been on stage together. Apparently, this will be the first time. They've worked together for 20 some years on Coast to Coast, and they're going to appear on stage together. They're going to talk a little bit. Tom and I are going to ask them some questions, and then they're going to open it up to ask me anything from the audience and let people ask them anything they want. So that's going to be a really unique, fun thing on Saturday.
Oh, it sounds like it. Both those guys are great. They really know their stuff.
Absolutely.
And of course, they've been doing it for years and years.
Absolutely.
Yep, they're legends for sure. Now, what is Dr. Avi Loeb going to talk about?
Well, he's going to be talking about, talking with Clyde Lewis. And unfortunately, he's not going to be able to come in person. He's the only speaker we will not have there in person. Everybody else will be there live. He's now unable to attend. We were originally going to have him there. But he's going to do a Zoom with Clyde. Clyde's going to basically interview him. And it's about all his latest findings that point to, the possibilities of extraterrestrial life and how mainstream science is working towards actually how we should focus on this and take this topic seriously, which we all feel.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And of course you've got Whitley Strieber, Travis Walton, Matthew James Bailey, pioneer of ethical AI, consciousness and spirituality. We were talking about that a minute ago.
Yeah,
but not the consciousness and spirituality part. I was wondering if you were going to go there.
Well, we are going to go there. And he's going to take us there regarding AI. And then also we're going to have a panel that looks at non-human intelligence, because there's so many ways to look at that. The big talk in the AI community is also, can it truly become sentient? And is that, then you're communicating with a form of non-human intelligence. And then on that panel, we'll talk about ghosts. We'll talk about people that communicate with the other side, people who've passed away. And, that's non-human intelligence, the spiritual connections, the speaking with ghosts, the speaking with computers, all of these different forms of alien contact would be non-human intelligence. So there's all different ways. I think there's 6 speakers. I think there's 5 different things they're going to cover on ways humans communicate with non-human intelligence.
Yeah, I'm sure they're going to cover telepathy.
Yes, absolutely. Oh, and we have a big
Yeah.
remote viewing thing too. We have the great Russell Targ will be there.
I see that
from SRI and everything.
Yeah.
What an amazing thing that he's going to be there, and Paul Smith, another acclaimed remote viewer. Tracy Garbutt, also remote viewing. So we're going to do a whole thing on the different aspects of remote viewing, which is a fascinating thing. Danny and
I can relate.
I'm sorry?
I can relate to that because I do it.
Oh, do you really?
Oh, yeah. I teach it too.
Oh, you'll love that. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Yvonne Smith is there, of course. Adam Apollo, always interesting. Michael Schratt talking about the different craft that have been reported and seen, and what sort of, how to tell the difference between an earthbound craft and how they think they can tell the difference between something made on Earth that was to replicate and something that really did come off planet, supposedly. So that's great. And Paul Hynek, of course, DMT. There's another thing, the psychedelics. He's going to talk. He'll be on that panel, and he'll be talking about how DMT and these type of psychedelics, ayahuasca and whatnot, are other ways people do experience talking with non-human intelligences. So, non-human intelligence is not limited to aliens. That's, I guess, the point.
Correct. Yeah, or interdimensional beings.
It could be interdimensional beings. It could be an ayahuasca experience. It could be artificial intelligence that achieved sentience. It could be people that have passed away, relatives that have died. You're talking to people on the other side, spiritual that way, religious figures that people communicate with. So there are really a lot of ways people claim to have had experiences talking with non-human intelligences. Jason Martell is going to be there. He's going to be talking about, he's another one of these ancient alien guys who has a lot of great work on ancient astronaut theory and those kind of things. Ryan Wood. I mean, this is the only thing that's hard about Contact is picking what to go see.
Oh, there's so many.
Anthony Peake is awesome. Mark D'Antonio, one of my favorites. He talks about astronomy and all, his own story is great. Jason Quitt. There are so many great things. Mitch Randall's part of the thing with Avi Loeb, the Galileo project, and he's going to be talking about some of those aspects as well. Adam Curry is amazing. He's another AI. He'll touch on AI as well. Dwayne Ollinger. Do you know Dwayne from Blind Frog Ranch?
Oh, heck yeah. I don't miss an episode of that.
There you go. I mean,
I'm surprised to see him, but hey, there's some weird stuff going on there.
There's some weird stuff going on, no doubt. Wait till you hear what he talks about. I mean, we see the stuff on the show. The show's amazing. For people that don't know, Blind Frog Ranch is another one of these TV shows on Discovery Channel that it's located just past Skinwalker Ranch. It's not far at all. It's just a little bit north of Skinwalker Ranch. And Dwayne's going to be there talking about what has happened on his show, where they have all kinds of mysterious phenomenon happen. But also, I've had the pleasure of hanging out and getting to know Dwayne a little bit. He has his own experiences that are unbelievable as well. They're really incredible, completely separate from the show, completely separate from that ranch. Just in his life, he's had various first-person experiences, and he's going to talk about all that, which is great. He's going to open up about all of those things.
Well, that sounds interesting.
It's just fascinating stuff.
There's always more to people than behind the scenes. There's always something, right?
You're exactly right. And even I guarantee you've had this experience, Margie. Let me run this by you, see if you've had this experience. I've talked to people about what I do or whatever, and they'll be like, oh yeah, well, I'm not really interested in that topic. That's not really my thing. I don't have any. And then they kind of pause, and then they do the Columbo, right? And they go, well, there was this one time.
Yeah.
My dad and I were fishing, and we saw this light. They all have a story.
Yeah.
I can't even believe how many times that's happened to me personally, where they just kind of dismiss this. Oh, I know what your show's about, Beyond Content. Oh, and I know what your event's about. Yeah, that's not my thing. And they dismiss it. And then as they something triggers, and everybody's got a story. Am I right?
Something triggers a memory, something they just hadn't even thought about for years will pop up. Yeah. That
Incredible.
happens all the time. So it's hard to believe that there's anyone walking the planet that doesn't or who has never had a paranormal experience.
Of something.
Yeah.
Some
Yeah.
kind, one thing or another. And or someone in their family has. They'll be like, my grandma told me once, or my mother told me when she was getting older, or whatever. And it's remarkable how often that has happened to me, and I find it fascinating.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's
It's
another
common.
aspect. There's who knows who you'll meet there. And then we have other speakers that maybe aren't on this year's panel and on our lineup. You can't have them all. There's only 50 slots and we have 70 speakers, so it's already overbooked. But it's very hard to select that because they all want to speak at Contact, and I get that. And we have a lot of great speakers that are out there.
I see a couple of my friends on here.
I'm sorry.
I see a couple of my friends are on the list. Kim Carlsberg is a good friend of mine.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Oh yeah, she used to work on Baywatch. She's a professional photographer, and boy, does she have a story about abductions.
Absolutely.
And Craig Campobasso.
He's got a brand new film that he's going to debut there on Saturday night. Yep.
Yeah, he's been on a lot of my shows, and we're friends.
Bill Holman's bringing out the actual Mitchell Hedges skull with him.
Oh, awesome. Oh, there's a picture of it too.
Yep.
Okay, so the website is contactinthedesert.com. Look on the speaker page and you'll see all of these speakers, everybody. And there is the crystal skull. Wow.
Richard Martini talks about the other side and people that are able to communicate with people that have crossed over after they pass away.
Mm-hmm.
That's fascinating. Ron James, another filmmaker, he's going to be debuting his new movie. His last film called... I forgot the name of his last film, but he's got a follow-up to that, and he's going to debut that on Monday for us, which is really exciting.
I just interviewed him about that.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh, great. He's going to play it there at Contact. We're all excited about it,
And I see you've got Dan Herrera. Of course, he's got a show on our network.
Yes, he does.
And
he's our PR rep for the show. He's been helping us out. Absolutely.
Of course he is. He's the PR guy.
He's the PR guy, that's for sure.
Oh, and Katie Page.
She's part of our team as well. Mm-hmm. Earl Grey Anderson's part of MUFON down here in Southern California.
Yeah.
Kelly Chase and J. Christopher King also have a documentary that they're going to be playing on Friday night, which is exciting.
Okay.
We got a lot of filmmakers. Darcy Weir's going to be there. Serena DC and Michael Mazzola.
And I see Tom Danheiser. He's the producer on Coast to Coast.
Yeah, he and I are going to join George and George on stage for that event, the Coast to Coast George and George event.
Okay.
Jay Anderson from Project Unity, a new guy, Dr. Pascal. I think his last name is Michel, and he's sort of like Paul Hynek. He does different psychedelic experiences and talks about different realms like that. And then Tim Crawford from UFO TV. I mean, we just have, it's just such a great fun lineup. Again, the problem you have, Erica, who is a psychic, is going to be there. I mean, there's something that Michael Osadona, another experiencer, Ben Hansen, of course, and Alan Steinfeld. These guys are, the hard thing is just deciding what you want to see. I mean, that's just the truth. It's just, there's so much going on.
Yeah.
And there's quality stuff everywhere. New people to me are like John Milton and Timothy Hogan, talking about, the Knights Templar and the different secret societies and those kind of things.
Mm-hmm.
Sarah Bruxman Cosme is another one of I forgot that lady's name, but the QHHT, you know what that is.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Dolores Cannon is her name.
Yeah, Dolores Cannon.
Yes. So Sarah's going to be doing that kind of stuff. Just fantastic. Alexis Brooks, Lisa Garr from Coast to Coast. I mean, it really is exciting. It's fun putting this thing together. It's fun the way this thing sort of puts itself together too. I got to be honest with you. I am not very esoteric or very into these things, but I got to be honest, there's a series of synchronicities and we work really hard on this show, but it's amazing how things just sometimes fall into place that you just feel like, okay, wow, someone's helped us out. Like if you lose a speaker that speaks about some rare thing, and then the next day somebody calls you who happens to talk about that same thing and happens to be inquiring that if they could speak. Things like that have happened to us. It just feels like, oh my God, it's so organic on its own, if you know what I mean.
It makes you feel like there's no coincidences.
I mean, the one area that I do believe in this community of all these things is synchronicities, and they happen to us like punches in the face. Like you just can't even believe that the things that happen, and they do. And it makes me think there must be more to it. There must be more to it. So,
yep. It's like somebody out there wants this to happen and they're going to help you do it.
Yeah, the fates are helping us. It just feels that way. I just have to be honest, How great Dave Foley's in our community now, and he's very knowledgeable on this and in all of these areas. And his new podcast is about these topics, and he's interviewed a lot of great speakers as well. And they're going to record their show live there, which will be fun.
I see you've got 55 lectures, 14 panels and conversations, 38 intimate paid workshops, 12 intimate paid intensive. What is an intensive?
An intensive is on Monday, and that's for the super fans. We have a free track on Monday. Thomas Jane will be there on Monday too. Thomas Jane's a big actor who's writing a book about UFOs, and he's very into our topic as well. On Monday, it's there's one free track of free speakers all day, but then the other speakers, you buy a ticket and you get, it's like 2 hours and 35 minutes with them. So it's kind of like a small, intimate, typically more informal thing compared to their lecture, which is usually has a PowerPoint and is sort of polished. So you kind of get this long time with these speakers up close. Many of them do they'll have a presentation, or they'll share behind the scenes stuff, or they'll end their talk with an hour of AMA, and you can just ask them anything, and this is a place where you can get more information than they're willing to say in a lecture. And maybe it doesn't fit into that perfect thing, but maybe they'll tell you other things. It's really fun. I did that back in the day when I first started going to Contact, and it gives you an opportunity to get really up close and personal with a lot of the rock stars in our community.
Okay. And you've got of course, a welcome party, and then on Thursday, and then Friday, speaker meet and greet party at the place. I assume that's a location.
That's the name of that's the name of the lobby.
Oh, okay.
No, they have a big bar in this hotel is beautiful. And they have like a staircase, a spiral staircase that comes down left and right. And at the bottom it's called The Place. And it's a giant bar inside the hotel. And sometimes we all congregate there.
Okay. And you've got more than one live band.
Yes, we do. We got a band Thursday
DJ
night. And then Adam Apollo is going to DJ for us on Friday night. We have a band called Nine Finger playing on Saturday and Sunday, and they're going to play all kinds of tunes that are, similar to our community, and that'll be a lot of fun. 70s, 80s, and 90s, something for everybody. But it also is songs that typically, they're catering it to us. So they're going to specifically choose songs that are about these sort of topics. Come Sail Away and that sort of thing, which would be fun. I didn't mention Robert E. Grant. Do you know him?
No.
He's another one of these fascinating guys. He recently got back from Egypt, and he was able to get access to stay inside the King's Chamber of the Great Pyramid.
Oh, wow.
And he brought in super high res cameras and was able to film the walls, took that footage, went home and zoomed way in, because this is high res and no one's ever done this before. And he was able to find etchings on the wall inside the Great Pyramid. And it turns out it's the constellations.
Whoa.
Inside the Great Pyramid, inside the King's Chamber on the wall. And it lines up with when they think it was built, right where that would have been for that constellation. And so it
was Orion,
amazing.
Right? That would be Orion that would have been the constellation.
Well, no, each of the constellations of the
Oh,
zodiac
they're all
all the
there.
way around faced exactly where they were in the sky at this time period.
Oh,
He has an amazing explanation for it. He is an absolute find, and we're really excited about having Robert E. Grant there. He's a guy worth looking up and checking out his stuff. He's a fascinating guy, and he's
oh,
going to add a lot to our event this year. And he's doing everything. He's doing a lecture, workshops, panels, intensive. He's going to be around, and people are going to be able to interact with him, and it's amazing.
that sounds amazing. I'd like to talk to him about getting an interview with him on my show. Um, okay. Now, what is the name of the hotel for the event?
It's the Renaissance Esmeralda Resort in Indian Wells, California.
Indian Wells,
Yeah,
California.
it's basically, we call it Coachella Valley because everything out there is part of the Coachella Valley. It's right by Palm Springs. You would fly into Palm Springs Airport, basically, and
Okay.
it's very close to there to go over to Indian Wells. There's a whole bunch of things: Desert Hot Springs, Indian Wells, La Quinta. There's all these little Palm Springs. Each of those they're like little boroughs that make up the Coachella Valley. That whole thing is the Coachella Valley. And each of those little boroughs is part of it. Indian Wells is one of them. But it's basically right by Palm Springs. So you fly right into there. Our international guys are flying into LAX and then just driving out to the desert there. So
how long does it take to plan a conference of this size?
it's literally most of the year.
Yeah.
I mean, from now on, it's nonstop go, but it is genuinely, we start in August. We went down to Mexico, all of our staff, and we planned out things. And, in earnest, we start full-time all out starting January 1.
Mm-hmm.
But it really does take even longer than that. It's a big deal. I mean,
to get
way
that
more
many
than
speakers.
I realized. And it's not what everybody's delusional, and they think they could throw this together in a month, and they think we make tons of money. Those are the two delusions that people have.
Right. About any conference.
This costs so much to put on. People don't realize. I mean, we rent that entire property, and we're bringing in speakers from all over the world. The flights and everything. I mean, it's a very expensive event to put on, and it takes a lot of work. And we have a very small core of incredible people. I'm so blessed that all of us just have our heart in this event, and we worked very hard at it, and it's a labor of love, and it's just much more intensive than I think people realize. All the little tiny things you don't think about, and when people get there, like, oh God, this goes so smooth and so easy. Yeah, but that's because in August we were planning where to put the chairs and who sits where and how to hang the banners and where to put. There's a million little things that need to be addressed.
Yeah, sure are. But I'll tell you what, your website is most excellent.
Thank you.
And it's easy to navigate. And so, yeah, just check that out and you'll see everything you need on that site, and you can get your tickets. How much are the tickets?
The tickets right now, let's take a look. Because we had a big early bird thing that just ended. They're $319 right now.
Okay.
And you can get, Galactic and Interstellar passes. Galactic Pass basically allows you to do anything and everything. All these different special events we talked about. Basically, everything's free. All the lectures are free. All the panels are free. There are 125 different events. There's what you call 55, I think 55 lectures and 14 panels. All of these are free. But then those the workshops and the intensives where you buy a ticket to be up close with a speaker, those they charge for, so those are extra. And then the special events like taking a bus, like the excursion out to the Giant Rock, out to the Integratron, sessions with the Crystal Skull, all these sort of things you do have to buy a ticket for the special events. And if you buy a Galactic Pass, all that's included. So that's the difference. You get a Galactic Pass, then you just go anywhere you want. Otherwise, you buy the $319 ticket, and then if there is something special you want to do or not, you can buy an extra ticket for.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on the program and explaining all of that. And it's been a really nice visit, and it's good to get to know you. So thank you for that. And
Thanks, Margie. It's
hopefully
always
we'll
fun.
talk again soon.
Absolutely, Margie. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
That was Ron Janix with Contact in the Desert. If you want more information, go to contactinthedesert.com and get your tickets. This is Margie K with ONX News. I'll see you here again next week.